Hey everyone, welcome back to The Lost Eternal, episode number 7. You guys know what it's all about, the Action RPG podcast, where we basically talk about action RPGs. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about Lost Ark, Smilegate, Diablo 2, VR, all of this stuff. Finally got it all together for an episode, to be super honest. But anyway, let's jump into it. Quote, "For now, we plan to fully devote our energy to Lost Ark. No other title will be announced for a while." End quote. Now, he also goes on to say, quote, "The local PC online game market has been depressed. We anticipate that Lost Ark will restore popularity in this segment." End quote. Now, if you don't know what this is, where it came from, it's actually from Forbes Korea in 2014. So I'll go over it again. Essentially, they said, we plan to fully devote our energy to Lost Ark. Not only that, they said that, they want to revitalize the PC market in their area. So this got me thinking about, how long have these guys been working on this game? Because this is 2014. We know NCSoft, Lineage Eternal, has been working on the game for quite some time now, but we don't know a lot about Lost Ark because it kind of just popped up and then disappeared, and then popped up again and disappeared. We don't really know a lot about it from the past anyway, so here we go, guys. Essentially, 150 employees have worked during the last 3 years for the title, and it plans to launch a closed beta test next year. Now, this was also from 2014, so in other words, they've had 150 people working on this game, and I assume still, unless they just completely, start working on it, and they did plan to release the closed beta last year. So it's pretty interesting stuff, guys. They're like a year late. But it looks like, they have spent a little bit more time on this game, and it's not really a small project. It looks like they want to cash in on this game as much as they did with Crossfire, Smilegate's other game that's just like fucking enormous. Excuse my language, by the way. So it looks like Smilegate and Starbreeze are teaming up once more. Now, if you don't know who Starbreeze is, I actually talked about them last episode, and if you missed it, it's cool. I'll just fill you in right now. Essentially, they're going to be publishing Crossfire in the West for Smilegate, and Smilegate will be doing the same for a couple of their titles. So last week, Smilegate and Starbreeze has officially teamed up on a new VR startup. Now, I believe this is no way relevant to Lost Ark, but it's interesting for the VR world. Now, I wanted to talk about the future of Lost Ark-like games, because PC games seem to be heading over to VR, but Diablo-style games seem to be heading over to mobile devices or handheld devices. Here's my honest opinion about both VR and handheld, so trigger warning, if you like one of these things, you're probably going to be a bit pissed off here. I'm going to throw it out there and just say, I think VR sucks, guys. The technology is really good. I think VR is going to be really, really good in like 5 years. They have to nail the controls a lot more than what they are right now. It's still kind of Nintendo Wii-ish. The tech is really, really good, but not good enough to handle AAA titles. Imagine playing a game like Overwatch on VR. You'd probably break your neck, but you know what I mean? That's really where VR needs to be, and have controls that are as responsive. I find that a lot of the games are like these really lame, play tennis, or throw this, disarm the bomb, all these just demo concepts. Nothing really, not a single game. I'm not interested in a single VR game, so I'll just say that much. These obviously don't really translate very well for Diablo-style games like Lineage Eternal and Lost Ark, because if a fixed camera view does switch up a little bit in Lost Ark, it doesn't really suit certain games. So what I've noticed is a lot of these games aren't going in that direction, as in Diablo-style games. They're going back into handheld devices. So as we know, Lineage Eternal is going to be doing the mobile thing. Lost Ark, apparently they're thinking about it. I want to share my opinion about it because I've been talking to you guys about a lot of these facts, but I never really chimed in and said, hey, I think I like this, and it's going to be great for this, because I don't know why I didn't. But anyway, I'm going to do it now. So I think mobile, it's really good, but it's actually going to be hitting a lot quicker than VR. I think mobile's really going to shine in about 2 to 3 years when they really nail data transfer and have internet a little bit cheaper around the world. I think 2 to 3 years is going to be a lot better when they use streaming tech. That's when it will start to shine the most. But at the end of the day, even games like Lineage, Eternal, and Lost Ark, it doesn't matter what it is, I still can't handle super small screens. I just can't do it. Hey, like, even when I was a kid, I wasn't really into the Game Boy because it was just too small to look at. And it might just be me, and I can't even watch YouTube videos on my phone. It's just too annoying. Like, I'd rather just wait until I'm in front of a screen, in front of a monitor anyway. So that's my opinion about it. So even if these games do come out on mobile, it just doesn't appeal to me either way. So I really hate that the two major technologies coming out and, you know, pushing the limits of gaming right now is essentially VR, which is, you know, like very far away from being, you know, what it could be, and mobile, which I just don't care about either way. Now, other than that, yeah, like I just look forward to, you know, for example, like the new NVIDIA graphics card. Like that's about as much as exciting PC tech stuff that I get involved with anyway. Alrighty, now let's move on. So based on Overwatch's success from Blizzard, I was wondering what's going to be the next big thing for action RPGs. We're talking about all this tech out. It's probably going to go mobile, you know, maybe not VR because of the fixed camera view. Is it Lineage Eternal? Is it Lost Ark? Are these games the next big thing for these hack and slash, you know, Diablo style games for the next 5-6 years? Is this going to be it? Or on the other hand, like I mentioned earlier, Overwatch, that's a pretty big hard hitting game. That's really reinventing that particular genre of shooter. What's next for action RPGs? Now, it makes me think about games like Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal. Is this the end or the beginning of a new generation? So what I mean by that is these games aren't even out yet, but you have to remember they're still built with CryEngine 3 or a version of that. And I mean, that technology is pretty chill right now, guys. There's newer stuff out there. So I've had this idea in my head for about 2 or 3 years now that I think would be the ultimate style game. If someone can make this game, holy crap, I will play the hell out of it if they do it right. Anyway, but yeah, my dream is like an action RPG, but you might remember a game that's still coming out called Paragon. That amount of in-depth graphics, that you know, that particular camera view is a little bit off from where I'd probably have it, but imagine a game with these type of graphics, slightly higher, a little bit more on top of the player, way more monsters, obviously, in a fast-paced Diablo 3 game. That's really where I see the future of hack and slash games in, like, you know, in the future. Let's just say that. I'm not going to put a time date on it, but that's where I see these games going when that comes out. Oh my god, I can't wait. I would love to see a graphics upgrade to a lot of these games that, you know, I've fallen in love with, because I actually got into these games and I never thought about anything related to graphics as a PC gamer, because I never really consider myself a PC gamer. You gotta remember, I went from like Diablo 1 to Diablo 2 to Diablo 3. Like, that's it. Like, I didn't play a lot of other games. I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I only really became, you know, I'd say the definition of a gamer when I started this channel, or about halfway through. It's when I played like games like Thief and just these games I'd never even considered or even thought about. In fact, I started my Steam account in 2014. It's cool to have all of this stuff, you know, unfold, especially right now. It's a good time, and it kind of makes me want to have Diablo 3 style gameplay with, you know, some really cool graphics. And I'm not sure where Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal actually fits in that particular space, and I feel like it might be the end of the old generation of action RPGs, as in what's out now, and could, yeah, definitely stick around for the next 4 or 5 years. So that's my opinion about it. Alrighty, so I also wanted to talk about PvP, because this is another one of those topics where I think it's like one of those things you just can't really do it with action RPGs. Now, when I say that, immediately I think, you know, a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, what about Diablo 2? And I played a lot of PvP in Diablo 2, and to be honest, didn't really have a PvP thing going on. Like, let's face it, you know, you could join games and fight each other, but it was really like, you know, the guided arrow off screen, just shooting the charger in. Like, it was really just a one-shot kill. There wasn't a proper tactical person versus person element. It was just see who can hit the other dude first. That's really what it was. That's not PvP in my opinion. Well, it is PvP, but you know what I mean. Like, the modern day standard where there's a little bit more depth in it than D2's PvP system, even though it was really fun, guys, and don't hate, because I did really enjoy it too. But if you're mature enough, you're gonna understand what I'm saying. Lost Ark and Lineage Eternal have PvP, and they've actually showed it off a little bit too. So the idea of them actually implementing this is very interesting to me, because I don't see a way of you actually pulling this off as a game developer in this type of game. Like, it's a game where you pick up items and make your character stronger, so whoever's got the best gear is going to be immediately better. So unless there's exclusive PvP gear, or there's a damage cap or some kind of handicap or balancing situation, it'll never work. It'll never work. That's why we haven't seen it in Diablo 3, by the way. That's my opinion anyway. And by the way, they did actually have PvP already set up in D3 before they launched the game. The vanilla version, and then they ended up just going, stuff it, we're going to bring out brawling. And I think this has a lot to do with it, because the balancing is just so far off, and I mean, you could just one-shot anything. It is quite unique, and I'm curious to see where it goes, because I get a feeling if these games are going to fail in one particular area out of all of the different areas that they possibly could, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on these guys, that's where it's going to be in PvP. It's going to be the hardest thing for them to do, probably take a lot more time than what's necessary. So I wanted to ask you guys, do you want PvP in this game? Would you rather sacrifice, let's say it takes 6 months or, you know, something like that? Would you rather sacrifice the time to have a game out early, or are you just super committed to getting into some PvP stuff? Do you want to get that out of an action RPG MMO? Is that a big thing for you? Let me know, because yeah, I think it's pretty interesting anyway. So the last thing that I want to leave with you guys today is some Diablo 3, because as you guys know, I did play it again pretty briefly before Overwatch came out, just to, you know, kill some time and just to relax and get into it. But most recently, Greater Rift 120 was done, and I'm looking at this like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, really, this is what's happening now. We're doing Greater Rift 120. It's just silly now. Like, you just don't get hit at all by any of the enemies. Just basically damage. It is a game in itself, and I think it actually is a really good end game, by the way, guys. A lot of people give D3 flack for having no end game. I actually think it's amazing end game. Knowing that you can go infinitely as high as you want, that's really cool. I think the only problem that I personally have when I see this, like, you know, 120, wow, is just the fact that, you know, when Greater Rifts got implemented, by that point I was already kind of running out of steam with the content. If the game content was still fresh again, like when the expansion first came out, everything's all new and fun, I can tell you right now, Greater Rifts would be the best shit ever. I'd be trying to push, you know, 121 in a full party. But when it's not fresh, then you just look at this number and you're like, man, like, am I even gonna, like this is so crazy now. Yeah, so let's see how we go. Hopefully this BlizzCon, as you guys know, I'm kind of holding out for some D3 stuff. It should be pretty cool anyway. So we can't forget about, Diablo 3 as well, because it's still, you know, still my all-time favorite game. So, but it is getting contested right now with Overwatch, so it's pretty interesting. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me as always. I'm gonna have another episode of Lost Eternal up at the same time next week. You know, last week was one of those weeks where I just didn't have enough for a full episode, so I was like, I'm just gonna wait a bit and spend some more time on it to get what we got today anyway. Alright guys, catch you next week. See you later.